Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to recognize Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just sat there and let you preach on all day. You know, I want to start out, I just want to echo the reflection comment that Mr. Curtis made earlier. As I've been sitting here, I've been reflecting as well. And I campaigned on reeling in China and moving away from a dependency on China. But as Mr. Rosendale stated also, China is not our friend. That's evident by the balloon that they sent over us last week just to surveil us. And I really believe that the American people now have begun to wake up to China, if nothing else, than about a year and a half ago when they saw their Christmas goods sitting off the coast of California that we couldn't get. So, Mr. Adams, I appreciate it. I knew you had an opinion and you commented on China as well as Mr. Summers. I've heard you comment on it too. But I wanted to ask a question of Mr. Holloman, because in your testimony, you discussed that we have seen China emerge as the unquestioned leader in the minerals market. And what factors caused the United States to fall behind during the same period that China became dominant?
Thank you, Congressman. We did not have strategic will. Our country was always getting things for, the cheapest and the quickest and just in time. China started thinking about this many, many years ago. I was in Africa in the early 2000s, going around to different countries, business meetings and government tenders. And the Chinese were all there. They were out tendering for for African mining concessions. They were in Latin America getting mining concessions. They were in Indonesia getting mining concessions. This is China Incorporated, the will of a country to go out and secure the future of raw materials. We were absent. America, just to be blunt, we were very lazy. And that is something that has to change. And I think the only way it changes is when we realize that we cannot control our own destiny.
Well, having said that, what do you see as, national security implications of U.S. lagging behind China like that?
For the military, I don't know what our DOD stockpile for nickel and cobalt and copper and lithium is, but I know it's needed in all of our high-tech equipment. Our airplanes, jet engines need alloys from cobalt and nickel. We don't have any of it. We import 100% of these metals. Our vulnerability is complete. We are completely vulnerable because of the lack of a stockpile and the lack of an ability to produce it here and mine it here. And oh, by the way, we have cobalt here. We have nickel here. In Idaho, in Missouri, where we are, we've got copper. We're also making lithium from recycling. So we can do it all here, and we can also import other metals and process it here. We can import from a company like Glencore, is ready to sell to an American processing company if we create the processing. I always say, why don't we export batteries? Why don't we export PCAM and sulfate? We can do it, but there are no options for the world's miners, and we're not mining ourselves enough.
Man, amen. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think this is probably a pretty good softball, though. What can we do to close that gap?
Help American companies mine and help them process. And there's a bipartisan kind of feeling around this, because whereas climate change is the fear on one side, there's China and national security is the fear on the other side. Let's talk across the aisle if we can, because I think there are people in the administration that want to help. That's really my recommendation to the House committees. And let's make sure we have this law, this IRA law, which says domestic content. It's got to mean domestic content. No loopholes, no big companies coming in and allowing additional metal from foreign entities of concern. It's written in the law that you cannot use metal from foreign entities of concern. We got to stick to that.
All right, thank you. Mr. Summers, real quick, copper, gold, and silver among many mineral commodities not listed as critical by the Department of Interior. How important is it to increase production of these minerals in addition to resources like the lithium, gallium, and cobalt?
It's critically important. So, I mean, if you look at the mineral demand, a lot of those are for minerals that aren't on that critical minerals list, especially copper. You know, we have one of the largest copper mines in the world in Utah. And, you know, without increasing copper production substantially, we're not going to meet any of these energy transition goals or to be able to supply the copper we need for economic development generally.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yield back, Mr. Chairman.